Hi guys, welcome to another one of our Australian native stingless beekeeping videos. Today we're going to take the hive behind us and we're going to split it, which basically means turning one hive into two. So basically what will happen is we will split that hive in half. We've got an empty bottom piece here. The top half of the hive behind us will go on here and a new top piece will go on the bottom piece. Each hive will have its own piece of brood and honey pots and pollen pots, so each hive will then be able to repair itself and become a thriving hive in its own right. A few other things that we need, we've just got some screwdrivers and a hammer just to get into the hive to actually pry the boxes apart. Sometimes the bees have got them pretty well glued together. Some strapping to go around the new hive just to hold the boxes together in case it gets bumped or whatever while the bees are still repairing everything. And we've got some tape. This is pretty important when you're splitting a hive. What tends to happen whenever you split a hive, the bees, where the bees have got it sealed inside, is torn apart. So it leaves them open to attack from parasitic wasps. What happens is the wasps will come and lay their eggs in the gap between the boxes, and then the larvae make their way into the hive, and they do a lot of damage inside the hive, and quite often we'll just wipe a hive out. So we tape the joins up, and that stops any wasps from getting in there while the bees are basically repairing everything inside. So the tape's pretty important whenever you pull a hive apart. We've also got some veils. Traditionally you usually see veils used with normal honeybee keepers. You would think it's a bit silly wearing a veil for a bee species that doesn't sting. And they don't sting, but they do bite. They have jaws or mandibles like an ant, and some of them can be quite aggressive in defending their hives. Tetragonula Hocking's eye, which is the species we've got behind us, is known to be the most aggressive, and they have chased me down the paddock before. They'll concentrate on sensitive areas of your skin. They'll attack your eyes and your nose, under your arms, that sort of thing. So it's not very pleasant when they get stirred up. So we'll have these veils on while we're filming. Alright, we'll pull the hive apart and we'll see if it's strong enough to actually split. Should we take the... We should pop that off first and just have a look in there, you reckon?
Yeah, a video.
Yep. Alright, we're going to take off the honey box. That'll just allow us to have a look into the main body of the hive and just make sure they are strong enough to split. Once we split these two boxes, it tears their brood chamber apart and does a fair bit of damage. We'll do a lot less by taking the honey box off if it's not strong enough to split. The hive looks like it's strong enough to split, so we'll go ahead and we'll open it up. They quite often have it fairly well glued together. The problem we've got here is the whole brood chamber has lifted up out of the bottom box.
You're just going to slice it?
So the whole brood chamber is attached to the top section. So what we might have to do is we'll try and halve that brood so that some of the brood goes into the bottom chamber and we get a decent chance at getting a split. So now we've put a new top sack and a new honey super on, and we'll close them all up. You don't do that for these. Well, where's it going to go? Right, so now we'll put both hives back where they came from, and all those excess foragers that are looking for their home will find their way back into their original home. You can see they're sort of equally split between both hives now. A lot of the foragers are going into the new base. And over the period of the next few weeks, one of these hives will have a queen in it, the original queen, and one won't. So one hive will actually re-queen, and then they'll become two fully functioning hives, separate hives. So we'll watch these two hives fairly closely over the next 2 or 3 weeks. Just keep an eye on the traffic coming and going, make sure everything's alright with them. It wasn't an ideal split. The brood chamber didn't come apart like it really should have. Ideally, you can just pull them apart, and half or a significant portion of the brood will be in one chamber and the rest will be in the other chamber. You'll never get it 50-50, but there is a natural divide in the brood chamber. They call it the advancing front. It's where the latest lot of bees have hatched, like one whole layer will hatch, and it creates a natural divide in the brood chamber. If you happen to strike it at the wrong time, that divide will be either at the very top or the very bottom of the brood chamber, which means that the brood chamber won't tend to separate as easily, which is possibly what's happened today. To have it all come out like that is definitely not ideal, but rather than putting it back together and trying again in a month's time, we decided to just split it apart and we'll see how we go. They're a fairly strong colony, these ones, so I think they'll be okay. But we'll keep an eye on them. They'll be in there busy repairing all the damage that we've done to them now, and yeah, we'll monitor them and we'll fill you in and see how they go. We do have some other bee colonies here. My next video will be showing a different method of propagation, a method called eduction, which basically it buds a new hive off an existing hive. I'll show you that. We've got a log hive up in the tree here, and I'll show you how to do that in the next video. It's a lot less invasive method of splitting. As you can see, this is really pretty violent towards the bees. It does a lot of damage to the hive structure, and it kills a lot of bees in the process. It's quite a successful way of propagating hives, but it's quite rough on them. So the eduction method is not quite as quick, but it's less invasive and less violent, really. It's a lot kinder on the bees, so we'll show that in the next video.